Hey, I'm the Theorizer. This is my 100th Theory Spectacular, and I'm celebrating with an interesting idea that interconnects all of the recent Disney films I've analyzed into one big timeline full of Easter eggs. You may have heard of the Pixar Theory, a crazy timeline created by John Negroni. This theory explains all Pixar films and their connections, starting with The Good Dinosaur and finishing with Monsters, Inc. You may have seen videos on DreamWorks timelines, Disney timelines, etc., but having recently analyzed lots of CG Disney films, my curiosity about these films and their connections led me to piece together this amazing theory. The company I'm analyzing is Walt Disney Animation. They are the ones who made the classics, Snow White, Cinderella, Pinocchio, but the recent films they've made are 3D animation, similarly to Pixar's style. Now, there are Disney timelines, but they always separate the CG films from the traditionally animated ones. Let's see. We have Chicken Little, Meet the Robinsons, Bolt, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Big Hero 6, and Zootopia. This company also made the Planes films, but they take place in the Cars universe and are generally set aside from these ones. So, let's begin with a general setting analysis. The times they take place. Bolt, Meet the Robinsons, and Wreck-It Ralph all take place in the years the movies were released. Meet the Robinsons takes place in 2007, Wreck-It Ralph takes place in 2012, and Bolt takes place in 2008. Tangled and Frozen take place 3 years apart and are way back a few centuries ago. And Chicken Little, Zootopia, and Big Hero 6 all take place in parallel universes. So, accounting for the future in Meet the Robinsons, we have a pretty good start. For the past few months, I've been comparing these three films so in depth that making a theory based on all of my research was a frivolous idea. So I'm putting them all into this big one. But the first thing I noticed was that genetics say that this gamer in Wreck-It Ralph, the Moppet Girl, is the daughter of the agent in Bolt. Does that blow your mind? He claims that he has a daughter and that he'd trade her out any day for Penny.
I have a little girl at home, love of my life. I would do anything for her. And I would trade her for you in a heartbeat. True story.
Now that is a brutal thing to say. But we see that his workaholic obsessions keep him away from home all the time. We know that Bolt takes place in Los Angeles, for the most part, but we get one, and I repeat, one tiny glimpse at where Wreck-It Ralph's arcade takes place. It is confirmed to take place on Route 83, but there are multiple Route 83s all over America. The clip is only for a few seconds, but we see a power plant, Route 83, mountains, and palm trees. Only two places in all of America match this description exactly. Mid-southern Texas and central California. These places are so similar, as there is an American Route 83 running through Texas and a Californian Route 83 running through right here. But after a thorough Google Maps analysis of American Route 83, the palm trees displayed simply do not match up with the ones in Texas, so California it is. And we see that the gamer girl is the daughter of the agent. My guess on why he doesn't really care about her is because she's always at the arcade, and the way she looks up to Mr. Litwack as a father figure makes perfect sense when considering this theory. And to finalize, this means that when Bolt is happening, this girl is a bit younger, 5 years to be exact. But the difference is incomparable, as the evidence trumps this fact. Okay, so that's that. We now have a solid connection between Bolt and Wreck-It Ralph. Now, we need a connection in the middle. Meet the Robinsons. The past in this film takes place in a large city. There are lots of choices, but we need exact. As I say in my Meet the Robinsons theory tetralogy I'd heavily recommend checking out, the past takes place in 1995, the present is 2007, and the future is 2037. So based off real-life cities and their comparison, accounting for the high buildings, previous predictions, and, well, general style of the city, it takes place in Des Moines, Iowa. So how does this help us in any way at all? Well, I just thought I might say that Lewis is related to this girl. Genetics strike yet again and give us more evidence that says these three have genetics so close, it's actually unlikely for them not to be related. So how are they related? Perhaps the agent is the father? I don't know, but these three have similarities like no other three separate characters in these films, and it does make me question. So, we have a possible Meet the Robinsons and Bolt connection. Now we just need a connection to Wreck-It Ralph, and we've successfully dealt with these three in our timeline. Easy. We see the Meet the Robinsons dinosaur in Wreck-It Ralph as the video game character. This means that these films are connected in ways unfathomable, as it means that the Wreck-It Ralph future had a T-Rex taken from a video game. We also see the horse from Tangled and Wreck-It Ralph, and there becomes a point when Easter eggs get too complex to understand. Okay, we are on an analytical roll. Let's go to Frozen and Tangled next. The Easter eggs and connections these two films have are insane. Secrets upon secrets and connections upon connections. Constantly. You've probably heard this before, but here it is. Tangled has been confirmed to take place 3 years after Frozen. The Frozen king and queen were headed to Corona, Tangled's kingdom, for Rapunzel's wedding, but their ship sunk. These parents managed to get to safety on an island where they had a son and then died. Their son is Tarzan, and some even believe that their shipwreck is the same shipwreck from The Little Mermaid. The end. So honestly, this is all the connection we need to really place it into a timeline. But here's where it gets super tricky. The parallel universes. These three movies cannot be placed on a timeline because they're all separated. Chicken Little is in a world of animals, and Zootopia is as well, but Big Hero 6 is in an alternate timeline where Tokyo and San Francisco are one. If we're to assume that Chicken Little and Zootopia take place in the same universe, then which comes first? Zootopia has a far more sophisticated society than Chicken Little. Chicken Little looks like the Meet the Robinsons past, and, well, Zootopia looks like the Meet the Robinsons future. So there is no argument. Zootopia takes place after Chicken Little. And Big Hero 6. There isn't much I can say. It is so disconnected from everything that I can't connect it. It's a parallel timeline without any movies to pair it with. Well, I suppose that time traveling in Meet the Robinsons could link to the altered state of this timeline, but other than that, there's hardly a thing. So there we have it, a coherent timeline. Tangled starts it off a few centuries ago, then Frozen is 3 years later. Several hundred years later, the Meet the Robinsons past happens. Then Bolt, then Wreck-It Ralph, and then the Meet the Robinsons future. Alternately, none of this happened, and Big Hero 6's timeline occurred. Meanwhile, in a parallel universe, an unsophisticated society composed of only animals slowly becomes a sophisticated society full of animals, but as Zootopia will show you, the society still isn't perfect. Now, of course this isn't a fact, it's just a theory. The Pixar Theory has been debunked by Pixar themselves, but just looking at the seemingly unwitting connections makes all of these films connect in amazing ways via Easter eggs, genetics, and geographical locations. Stay tuned, I've got plenty of other animation studios to connect. But until that time comes, I'm the Theorizer, creating somewhat coherent analyses since, 8 months ago.